And we all want to find that person, right? We want to find a person to live the rest of our lives with. So, how do we find that perfect partner? So, today, Melissa is going to help us out and see if she can share her wisdom and knowledge with us as being a therapist.
Okay.
So, Melissa, I wanted to start off by saying, what's the first step that a person should take in finding their person?
First step is to pray. Is to pray.
Mm,
You need to pray and ask God, is this my season to be dating? Or is this my season just to be single? Right? Because even in our single season, we need to get aligned with God. And when we get aligned with God, then He can tell us, yeah, girl, it's just your season. Let's get out there, or I'm about to send you a mate, or whatever the case may be. So I feel like the first thing people need to do is to pray and really get in alignment with God and get in agreement with Him so He can tell you how to move forward.
wow, that's really good.
Yeah.
That that's amazing because I think we think about prayer, but in terms of like other things in our life, right? So
Mhm.
why not again? If we are Christians, we
Yeah.
should be praying and seeking God. So
Absolutely.
yeah, absolutely, in every area of our lives. So with prayer. So say we've been praying, right? And he says, like, okay, this is your season to find that person, like you
Mhm.
can date, you know. Um, what should we do next after prayer?
What should we do after prayer? Well, I always tell people you can't go date if you don't have a plan. I feel like a lot of times people go out here and they just start dating. They get on the sites, they go out here to the club, they looking all fly, going to Trader Joe's, and they know they want a person. But I think when it gets down to the nitty gritty, once they start going on dates, it's just like, wait, I don't think I like that. I don't think I like that. And they're going into it without a plan. So what I tell the people who I work with one-on-one is let's make a plan. So that is, what do you need? What do you want? And what are the red flags? So the needs are like, I don't know, like a sundae, right? Like an ice cream sundae. Like, you need the ice cream. That's the need.
Right, right.
The toppings on top of an ice cream sundae is the want. So like the sprinkles, you want caramel
Mhm.
sauce? Do you want chocolate sauce? You want a banana on the side? Like that's what that is. And then the red flags and stuff that you don't want on your sundae. So that's asparagus, broccoli, like stuff like that. Stuff that we don't want on ice cream, right?
Right.
And so if you think of it that way and you create this plan to go out here and start dating, it'll be easy to eliminate people. So if you go out on your first date, you say, oh, that's a red flag. Yeah, that's one of my red flags. Not society's red flags, which those are real too. But
Right.
also we have our individual red flags that we don't like. I had one person say, I don't want nobody to be cheap. That's a red flag. Say less, because
Right.
she
Right.
makes a nice amount of money. And she was like,
Right.
I don't want a cheap man. That's my red flag. Okay, cool, girl, put it down. Right. So now when she go out there and date someone's being cheap, she said, don't want that. But wasn't until she started writing down a plan that she started to say, oh snap, this is what I like. This is what I don't like. Okay, now I can go out here and go ahead and find my person based off this plan. Now, even and this plan is changing, it's ever changing. You may go out there, you may say, maybe I'm okay with a cheap man. He looks cute. I can be okay with a cheap man. Okay, move it up to your wants, right?
Right.
like you can move it around, but I would just say don't really budge on some of those things where you just like, I absolutely need this to survive in a
Mhm.
relationship, which is those needs. Like, don't change on the needs. Do not
Right.
change on the needs.
Okay.
So,
The need.
I would say make a plan and then go out there and execute it.
That's good. Having a plan in place. And so, with having a plan in place, how important do boundaries play in finding your partner, your person?
Yes.
We
Oh,
got
so
the
good.
plan now.
Yes.
We need boundaries.
We need boundaries. I'm so glad you brought that up because again, people go out here with a plan and then they don't have boundaries. That's something else that you need. So you need to know, like, am I not having sex until marriage? That you need to know that. Do I
Right.
want to kiss on the first date? You need to know that.
Right.
And any of your other boundaries. So boundaries are really important because once you set them, you need to keep them. And then if someone violates those boundaries, then you need to have consequences, right? So if
Mhm.
let's say you're on the phone, it's getting late, and he's like, "Yeah, I really gotta go. I gotta go. I gotta get off. I gotta go to work in the morning, so I need to get off the phone." If the person violates your boundary of like, "Nah, I still want to talk," you're like, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get off the phone and I'm gonna hang up and whatever the consequence is, and I will
Right.
talk to you tomorrow. If they keep
Right.
blowing up your phone, then that's not the person for you because one, they keep violating your boundaries and they don't respect you, right?
Right.
So boundaries are important. They show if the other person will respect them, they show if they respect you.
Mm,
And for the person who's setting the boundaries, they need to make sure they set them and stick to them. Because I
stick
think a
to
lot of
'em.
times people do not stick to them and then they let them loose and then they other person like, oh, okay, now I can come in and do whatever I want, and that's not cool either.
Right. Well, why you bring up a great point. Why don't we, when we set boundaries, why don't we stick to them? If we know that it's something that it's helping us, right? It's a way of protecting us and just giving us time. Why don't we stick to those boundaries? Because I've done it.
Yeah, me too. I think we all been there,
No,
right?
I know. And then, so two-part question. Why don't we
Yeah.
stick to those boundaries? And when we don't stick to them, how can we realign ourselves to put the boundaries
Mm.
back in place?
Yeah, I think a lot of times people don't stick to boundaries is because they're afraid they're going to make the other person mad.
Mm,
And if they stick to them, that person may be persistent. Like, why can't I do this? Let's just take sex for example.
right,
Let's say you like, I really don't want to have sex before marriage, and then that person just keeps pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing, and then finally you're like, well, I mean, he cute. I mean, he might be right. And then you start talking yourself out of it, and then next thing you know, you're on your back. And
right.
so, I
Yeah,
mean,
we being real here. Listen, this is real.
I mean, it's
Yeah,
happened.
yeah, it happens. It
That's a real
happens.
story. And so, and then next, you're regretting giving up that boundary. You can always come back and say, you know what, I messed up. I
Right.
really do not want to have sex before marriage. If you don't like it, then you can go. And I think that's the other thing. People need to be okay with people leaving. 'Cause I think
Yeah.
sometimes people hold on to people, right, that they
Yep.
don't need because they're afraid of them leaving, or I invested too much time, or they're a really good person. It doesn't matter if they're not aligned with you. It don't matter. They
Matter.
can't stay if they're not aligned.
Yeah.
So and that's my whole thing. That's why I say the first thing you need to do is pray because you need to be aligned with God before you get out here in these trash dating streets.
Right.
Let's be honest, right? These streets, hey, listen,
Listen.
listen, these streets ain't nice. They are trash.
Oh,
You
wow.
got your gyms somewhere up in this trash, but you got to get through the trash to get to the gyms.
Yeah.
So that's why
Yeah.
you need to be aligned with a higher power that way knows way more than you do. To
Right.
let you know, like, he ain't it, sis. He
Right.
ain't it. She's definitely ain't it. You need to bypass that one, right?
Right.
That's why you need to be aligned. That's why I say pray first.
Yeah.
One, to even know if this your season. If it is your season, Lord, show me.
Yeah.
Reveal their character before I even need to see it, right?
Yeah.
And I think when people don't do that, they end up in those situations, like the example I gave, because they're so afraid of losing people. And on top of that, I'm going on a whole tangent now.
No, please.
On top of that, like people also need to heal, right? Before they go out here and start
Mhm.
dating. So that's that prayer and that's that healing. They go together because if you go out here, you haven't healed from past relationships, you're just gonna keep doing the same cycle. It's gonna look different because it's gonna be different people, but it's gonna be the same thing. And then people always like, why do I keep picking the same guy? I said, because you ain't healed from the first one. So now we on guy number 5. That's why. Like, can we heal from the first dude that hurt you? Like,
Right.
let's start there.